Well, hey everybody, welcome back to another Beyond the Watch. My name is Chris from Early On Time Watch Reviews. Thanks so much for tuning in. I'm betting that there is going to be a few more viewers than I regularly get on my channel because of my special guest. He is one of the nicest guys that you will ever meet. He is also the founder of Long Island Watch and Islander Watches. I don't have to introduce this guy. All of you know who he is. Just a top-notch guy. He is my guest today. Welcome to Marc. How are you? Thank you for joining me today. It's an honor to have you.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. Everything's going good.
Yeah, and this is kind of like an honor for me, to be honest with you, because when I kind of started my watch collecting journey / YouTube journey, some of the first videos that I found, I remember watching one of your watch and learn on a chronograph watch. I believe it was. I tried to figure out because my hand wasn't. It wasn't set.
Zeroing.
My hand wasn't set properly, and I'm like, oh, I thought the watch was broken, so I looked it up, and I'm pretty sure it was one of your videos that I found that helped me kind of realign my chronograph hands, and then
awesome.
Yeah. And how many of those watch and learn videos do you still? I haven't seen you do one recently, but
there's a mosquito on my computer, so don't mind me.
That's all right. My last review, I had a fly land right on the watch.
Let's see. I just filmed another one. I just released it. I forgot what it was about actually, but I think I'm somewhere in the 80s.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, and I did explaining every watch movement. That was a big one for me. I think that was 85 or 84, and then I recently just did another one, and I totally forgot. Oh, it was the difference between a Traveler's GMT and a Caller GMT.
Oh, so okay.
They've been in the beginning. They went very fast. There was a lot of topics to cover. But as you get further on, either I have to, kind of reshoot some older ones as I guess my skills get better and my storytelling gets better, or they get very involved and I just don't have the time to break down movements anymore and take things apart and, spend a day editing a video.
Right. Yeah. That's been part of the challenge for me is just my summer schedule is a lot busier. I normally work afternoons in my job, so okay. I can film in the morning and whatnot. But we have a worker shortage in my school board, and so I've been working quite a bit of overtime.
Right.
Yeah, finding the time is tricky. And with you running your business, I mean, how much of I know you have your web or your YouTube page where you highlight watches that are on sale and whatnot. The watch and learn, was that always kind of a part to attract people to the business end of things?
That's what I would say that's what it wound up being. I mean, watch and learns traditionally are my poorest viewed videos, except for how to size a watch band. Those are my number 1 and number 2 viewed videos of all time, like 1.5 million views or something for each.
Oh my goodness.
But I genuinely started it because I love teaching, kind of. I love breaking things down, into simple terms. I love engineering, and that was it. There was no money making. There still isn't. I mean, monetization on YouTube is really nothing.
Yeah.
So it was really just kind of sharing knowledge, and that's how it started. And obviously, being 80 or so videos in, it obviously attracts people and attracts customers. So I guess ultimately it did generate revenue. But I really just started it as just a means to kind of, explain things. Sure, be a teacher, love it. But also it was a customer service thing, because if someone says, hey, my chronograph won't go to 0, can you help me? I would just say, go to this video. And that's what what's the difference between a domed and a flat sapphire crystal? What's the difference between titanium and stainless steel? So I have all videos on this, so I can just point people to a video. What's a jewel? Point them to the video.
Yeah, very cool. All right, and I did something just for you today, okay?
Go ahead.
Just for you. I got a watch on both my wrists.
Oh, good for you. Hey, you don't do it for me. Do it for yourself. So do I.
Well, I know you always wear two. I've never seen or met anyone until I,
Yeah.
met you vicariously online.
Yeah.
That always wears two watches. So let's do a wristwatch check.
Oh,
What are you rocking
I'm
on your
wearing,
wrist today?
so on one wrist, it's the soon to be released Abalone Monster. It's an Islander.
Nice.
And then on the other wrist is an Ameriquartz diver.
Okay.
I happen to be Islander
Double Islander day today.
and I'm not always. I must admit, I'm not always doing it. It's just today I happen to be doing it.
Right. Well, hey, why not? So I've got. I bought this from your store, Seiko SNE 549, the Paddy Prospect Solar Quartz.
Yep. Cool watch.
One of my favorite watches, absolutely for sure. And this is one I'm doing a review on. Spinnaker Bradner.
Okay.
I put it on an FKM rubber strap because
Cool.
the strap that they supplied it with is this tan. I'm not into leather straps very much, so I just switched it out. And
Cool.
so that's what I'm rocking today. So what I want to
Nice.
do right now, just because you're a special guest on my episode today, I want to take people to your website. And
go ahead.
this is, so we're just going to cut to the website. You'll be able to hear us maybe talking in the background, but this is Marc's website, longislandwatch.com. This is one of the best places, if not the best, right, Marc, to go and buy yourself a new
I try to
watch.
make it.
Yeah. So you have, I'm not, how many brands do you sell? I just got it up now.
3 dozen?
Yeah, there's a lot of brands on there. Your own Islander watches, Orient, Seiko, of course, Laco. Gosh, there's just there's so many on there. And guys, I can honestly say, and so would a bunch of other people, you're going to get some of the best customer service in the business by going to Long Island Watch. And so, your brand, Islander brand, I have, I think 4 or 5 of your watches now. I meant to wear my ISL 19, which is the SKX.
009.
The Pepsi is at 009. Yeah. So it's absolutely one of my favorite watches. So
Awesome.
let's talk watches now. There's some questions that came in. You posted something on your Instagram. And through my posts, I got some questions. My first question I'm going to ask you is, we talk about watches for a few minutes, then we'll get beyond the watch in a few minutes. Sure. This question comes from, let me just see here. Oh, I got to scroll up. That's why I can't find it. My buddy True Brit, Andrew, asks, has the popularity and growth of the Islander watch line exceeded your expectations?
Yeah, it did. From day one, it exceeded my expectations, or day 3, I would say. Yeah, from September of 2019, just the support, I guess, that the community has shown with their wallets and everything else just totally exceeded anything that I thought was possible. I thought it would just be another brand floating in the store. But it went to the number 1 selling brand within, it only took about 16 months or so, and then it outsold everything.
From your own store, you mean?
Yeah, it used to be Seiko was number 1, and then Orient, and then a mishmash below that, and now it even outsells Seiko by a decent margin.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
So what was it, the kind of the genesis of getting that started? What brought you to the point where you thought, I want to start my own lineup?
I never wanted to be honest with you. For years, a lot of manufacturers that I deal with would offer me the chance to be a distributor in the States for their brands. And I always said, I don't want to distribute. It's just I'm not set up for it. I don't want to do it. I just want to be a retailer. And I guess a lot of people planted seeds in my head, not from the vendor facing side. And a lot of people I talk to on a business level, one in particular really said to me, you have the following. you need to launch a brand. And he said it in no uncertain terms. Basically, you're a fool for not doing it. And this was a guy that was pretty much, he was a money guy. He was just after, he's purely in the business for money.
Right.
But he's like, you would make a killing. And I was like, I just don't want to. He's like, just think about it and whatever. And we weren't even doing business at the time, but we met at a watch show and we were just chatting. And then I guess, just with the discontinuation of the SKX that I found out, back in early 19, I kind of knew at that point that I just had to kind of make a replacement. And that's how the brand, people always say, oh, all you're doing is, you're copying Seiko, you're making Seiko homages. Well, that's how the brand started.
Yeah.
So I kind of have my roots. I mean, and that's the way I gravitate towards. The SKX was the genesis of the brand. But of course now I've offshot into, fields, pilots, different kinds of divers, beat divers, and, all this other stuff.
Yeah.
But, I guess doing Seiko stuff is kind of, my core clientele are hardcore Seiko people. They want to be hardcore Seiko people, but they can't get over whether on the SKX it was the lack of hand winding and hacking, or the lack of a sapphire crystal, or whatever it might be. So I always knew that there was a way to improve on their product.
Yeah, and that's one of the first things that when I saw the 009, the Islander 19, because the Prospects Patty too and the Pepsi, which you are currently out of stock on, but Ryan, I was touching base with him earlier this week, and he said, well, we're getting some more in soon, because I plan on
99.
I plan on grabbing one of those up at some point from you there. But for me to buy, especially because I'm Canadian, a lot of the SKX 009s that I saw online were on eBay, Amazon, whatever, were well over double what it costs to buy your Islander 19.
Right, and then with the currency too.
Yeah, so I put the 19 on my wish list and the account that I set up at your website, and I just kind of waited and waited and waited, and when I finally got it, boy, was I, and the fact that it does have the sapphire insert or covering for the bezel, as well as the sapphire glass, and oh man, and the bracelet's better. The clasp is better. There was just so many little improvements, as you said, that.
Right.
So what is your number one selling Islander watch? What sold the most?
Wow, you mean of all time?
Yeah, or what seems to be all time? What seems to be hot right now?
The 18 or the 85. So the 18 is the Yachtmaster sort of look-alike, and then the 85 is the Robin's Egg.
Yeah.
Usually it's quiet. The 85 is the Robin's Egg.
High beat.
Brookville, I call it. But yeah, I think the 18 actually is still the top seller.
Okay.
But they're probably by now. There's a lot of them are close. Some of them, if I had unlimited supply, they would be the best sellers. But it's just a matter of not having enough.
Yeah. And how long does it take? Let's say you sell out, so your north ports are pretty much all sold out, right? So
except for the black dial,
So one of the questions from a viewer was, when is the Seafoam Green going to get back in stock? And how long does it take for you to kind of get like a new batch or whatever? Is it just something?
So it depends what's going on. It depends what it is. So if it's a restock, and if it's a restock of a popular case, so say like an SKX case. That's a very popular case, and production of those at factories around the world is always ongoing. So something like that is usually like 60 days, because I got to get the cases, get the movements, get the dials. It's relatively quick. But for something like the, because there's no secret that case is made and sold in 20 different stores.
Yeah.
But like the Northport, that's my case. Ryan and I designed that case. So when we want to make more of them, we have to put in an order for, 500 cases and then they go to start to manufacture the cases. So that's more of like a 3-month lead time or so. So for that, like I said, I tell most people those should be back towards the end of the year.
Right. Yeah, because the seafoam green and was it within a few days it sold out probably, I
I
imagine, right?
think so. It
Yeah.
wasn't the fastest thing that ever sold out in the store, but for being $400, it was pretty darn quick. I think it was. I want to say it was under. I think it was 2 days, maybe 3 days. It didn't take long at all.
And did those ones? I forgive me for not knowing.
Yeah,
Did they
don't
have
worry.
the high beat automatic in them, or
Yeah, the Northport is based on the 9015. Yeah.
nice? Yeah, a buddy of mine. He's been looking for a purple watch,
Uh huh.
and I told him, man, you got to go online.
Yeah. The
And
157 was purple.
yeah, and get that Northport, grab it up because it's not going to be there long.
No, it's gone now. Like I said, black's the only one that's left. The
Yeah.
154, which is ironic because we kind of figured that the black would be the most popular.
Yeah, well, it seems that I guess some of the trend in the watch community right now seems to be these, for lack of a better word, exotic colors, right?
Yeah, I guess.
Like,
Yeah, I mean, traditionally, I look at it from a retailer's perspective, and whether it's Seiko or whether it's Orient or any other brand, black and blue are usually the two top dial colors.
yeah,
So that's kind of the way I usually stage production, and something like white to seafoam green, we're like, let's not make as many of those, and it turns out that's the one that goes like crap through a tin can.
yeah,
And yeah, the other ones we kind of just the black one. We're not really sitting on it. It'll be sold out, but yeah, it's just kind of funny.
yeah, yeah. So my buddy Watch 62, go over to his channel. I'll maybe leave a link up here, over there, whatever for him. He already had a question answered. What drove you to create your own watch line? But
Okay.
so that's been answered. But what was the watch that got you into the hobby?
Well, that's a good question because there could be a few of them. I remember my first watches, but probably I would say maybe the first watch that I saw as I get bitten alive by mosquitoes. I saw and I kind of like it threw me was a Tissot 2-timer that I still own, that I picked up in Grand Cayman for like $60 back in 1988.
Okay.
And that really I owned an analog diver before that, by Q&Q, who I think it's a Citizen company. And I still own that watch too. But it was the Tissot that I really was like, oh, that's such a cool looking watch. It's a 2-timer, so it's an ani-digi, and it's got the LCD display at the top, and then the analog watch the LCD display at the bottom, analog watch at the top, but it's open architecture, so you can see the coil, you can see the plates, you can see the gears,
neat. Yeah.
you can see the stem and the levers and stuff. So I dug that watch. I still have it.
Yeah. And so this is just I remember seeing on Instagram the picture of your watch dresser.
Yeah.
How many watches? I mean,
God.
not obviously you've got your store, but like your own personal watches. How many do you have? And is that why you wear two all the time? Because there's just not enough time to get them all on your wrist, or what?
Because it's a conversation starter of sorts.
Yeah, for sure. Okay.
I enjoy talking about watches. But I guess I just love watches. I mean, women will wear 2 bracelets.
Yeah.
None of us really need a watch because we all carry a phone. That dresser holds 220 watches, and I think I probably have like 140 or 150 in it, maybe a little less than that,
Right.
maybe 130. But yeah, I mean, I'm generally grabbing the same 20 or 30 though. I mean, just like anything else. Like I tried to arrange. I have an Islander drawer at the top. Then I have a Seiko Orient drawer. I have a mishmash drawer. I have the high rent district. And then I started to fill up drawer number 4 with continuing the mishmash.
Yeah. Yeah, that's incredible. I got about a third of that.
But
I have enough.
I've been collecting though, collecting for, a number of years. It's been in 1988, I was 12. So I've been collecting.
Do you still have watches from when you were 12 years old?
Yeah, I still have that Tissot 2-timer. I still have my Q&Q. I still have a lot of watches from way back then.
Okay.
I mean, I would say a majority of my collection I probably accumulated in the last 20 years or so. And
Okay.
I've only, I've really never sold, I've only sold, I think, two watches from my personal collection. Even when I was just starting out in the business or in the, always in the hobby, but just starting out in the business. And I noted on like Poor Man's Watch Forum and all this, people are always flipping their watches. I just didn't have the time to take pictures and post them for sale and stuff. I was selling watches already as a business. So I only ever sold really, I think, like two watches out of my collection. That's why
Oh,
it
okay.
grows. Because it's
Yeah.
always in, never out.
Yeah. So what is the most sentimental piece that you own, and why?
Probably my dad's Datejust, two-tone,
Oh,
mid
nice.
'80s two-tone Datejust, and simply because of the fact that
Yeah.
whose it was. But I remember him, winding it every night, and he would wind it every night, even though he worked. He was a business owner. Even though he definitely moved enough to keep it wound, he would wind it every night, adjust the time if it needed it. Remember him wearing it in the store that he owned as I worked there through summers, weekends, everything. So that's definitely the most sentimental watch I have.
And do you wear it a lot, or is it just kind of a
I
piece
wear
that
it.
you keep?
I actually just wore it this week a few times. But yeah, it comes out on a decent occasion.
Nice. Nice. All right, here's a question. Thank you to everyone that submitted questions on Marc's post on Instagram, as well as mine. You got far and away a bunch more questions, and I apologize in advance
That's
to
okay.
everybody who I can't get to all of your questions. But this is an interesting one from Bronco Hammer. Did you ever see yourself becoming a video personality? Do you ever get the celebrity treatment? Your social media marketing system should be taught in business school.
It's funny. So, getting the celebrity treatment, no, I've been spotted, just like I think any of the other popular, or I would say more popular YouTubers are. I was just spotted last week. I was in Philadelphia filming with somebody. You could probably guess who. And I was standing in front of my hotel waiting for my car. And I'm just I'm literally like this, flipping through my phone, waiting for the car. And I hear, "Hey, Marc, love the channel." And I look, and there's a guy hanging out. Maybe he's watching this, literally hanging out the window of his car. Just he's noticed, he recognized me. But yeah, during pandemic, I was recognized with my mask on in like a local store, supermarket.
Wow.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, so what else was the question? Celebrity
So
treatment. Oh,
did you ever see
I started.
yourself becoming a video personality?
No, I
Of course
started the
not. Mhm.
channel, on it, and still to this day, the channel is run solely to make sales.
Yeah.
With the exception of like watch and learn, every time I do a video, no matter what I feature, it's going to sell, even if it only sells one piece, or if it sells 50 pieces or 100 pieces, something's going to sell. And that's why the channel got started. And the fact that
Yeah.
it's grown to the size that it is, and the goal of the channel is specifically to get you to buy something, to me is totally amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, that blows my mind that 179,000 people are subscribed, and the whole channel is basically a commercial, and it's a commercial for me.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Yeah.
that's why the comment at the end there, your social media marketing system should be taught in business school. I mean, you've
It's
obviously
just
learned a lot from the
yeah,
time you
but there's
started
no
till
business
now.
schooling here. This is all engineering school.
Yeah. Yeah. And so how, like, for the business end of things, as far as like, as far as that comment is concerned, have you ever, it's kind of a catch-22. Obviously,
Mhm.
you start teaching people how to market their business. That's your potentially your
Hey,
competition, but
if you've asked me, people know if you ask me questions, I actually take the time. I respond. I
yeah,
probably give too much info. My accountant says I'm too kind. I give too much information. It's just the way I am. I do honestly look to help people. If asked, I almost never offer advice if it's not asked for.
right,
But if somebody asks my opinion about something, I will generally give it, whether it's marketing advice or anything. And I'm no expert, by any means. There are certainly much larger and more successful channels than my own, but I just kind of like what I do.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. And I remember just some of the one of the things that I kind of found amazing with respect to yourself and just in dealing with other watch companies or micro brands or whatever, you know, when I've asked you a question, um, you get back to me personally and within a relatively decent amount
Yeah,
of time. It's like, and you don't get that personal touch from a lot, or sometimes,
I,
your email could
I
be
would say
sitting a
anybody.
couple of weeks or more before you get
Yeah,
a reply.
I
And
mean, I know I have an issue. I clearly have an issue. I I live and die by email. Ryan and I have had this conversation many times. I just I need to digress. I need to divest myself from it slightly.
a little
But I don't
bit,
know. I
yeah.
just always feel like if someone asks a question, I want to give them the answer. Because I come from the day of not that my story is the end all be all, but when I first started out, I felt that if you asked me the question and you asked someone else the question, the guy that gets back to you first is the one you're going to probably purchase from. I
Yeah.
always felt that no matter what, I'm going to answer your question. And that rationale has stuck with me, although I don't think it's really the correct rationale anymore.
Yeah, because
But
you're
that's
growing,
kind of
right?
it. What's that?
Because you're growing, and
I'm growing, and it's also,
how many emails a
eventually,
day do you actually get? Like
what's that?
your personal email, like how many emails a day on average would you say
Well,
that you
the
get?
sales box has to get hundreds of emails a day,
Wow.
hundreds, and we definitely try to answer them all within the same day. Um, but oh yeah, but a lot of them sometimes it's just quick answers.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're very fast, and sometimes they're not. If they're not, they'll get flagged. We'll take care of them later.
Yeah.
But if it's a quick 2-word answer, then I'll give you a quick 2-word answer, which sometimes is misconstrued as a rude answer. But if the
Yeah.
answer is I'm an engineer. If the answer is 2 words, you're getting 2 words.
Yeah.
If you wanted 5, you should ask a different question.
Yeah. Oh, so here's an interesting question from Terminus Vox, and I'll do it as kind of a two-part question.
Sure.
Do you see your watch brand as a store brand, a micro brand, or just a brand? Does the distinction matter? And my question with regards to your knowledge of the watch business and community, what makes a micro brand transition to a known brand? Or anyway,
You,
so I
honestly, I don't.
how do you see your brand, though? That was the original
And I don't
question.
want to be rude. I don't want to be rude, but I say I don't know and I don't care
Yeah.
because it's a
Sure.
it's a brand.
Yeah.
I think Islander is a brand. It's definitely a brand.
Yeah, I
I
would say
could
that.
probably
Yeah.
sell the brand for a decent amount of money, even today. But like, um, there's a Facebook group, the League of Micro Brands, that's run by the guy that owns Hemel, Marvin, who I love, and they're always talking about what makes a micro brand, and so my brand will come up sometimes, and they're like, well, that's not a micro brand. You can't even talk about them here. And I'm like, well, what makes a micro brand? I don't know. Is it the amount of money? Is it the amount of units they put out? Are their designs unique? I don't know what they are. I know that I manufacture, market, and retail watches to the end consumer. Probably sell more watches than most people realize. And that logo is a brand. It's a brand no matter what. It's recognizable. Maybe not by normal people or regular people on the street, but it's a brand.
Yeah.
You know. So I don't know if it's a micro brand or a brand or a
And
store brand.
that's interesting because it's something that I mean, I did a quick question or whatever as a part of my video, and no one seems to have a definitive answer what makes a brand a brand or a micro brand change into a brand. And I'm along the line of you. It's like, who cares?
Like
I
if you
mean,
like if you were to ask me 5 years ago, I would say Spinnaker was a micro brand. You ask me today, I think Spinnaker is a brand.
Yeah.
I mean, that's you know, I could see that's a transition when it's really more in the public eye. I mean, I would say my watches. I've never spotted one of my watches in public. No, I haven't. Nope. Spotted a lot of Seikos that I've sold people, but yeah, never spotted an Islander in the wild. So I don't know. I think it's up for debate, as you said.
Yeah.
But I don't really care.
Yeah, and someone had suggested to me it's the number of models, or so like if Spinnaker, how many models do they have, right? Or
Oh my
but
goodness.
again, the expansiveness of the brand itself,
Right. Yep.
it's probably the closest to a proper answer to that question. But anyway,
Right.
So a couple more questions.
Shoot.
There's a few that basically asked the same question in a different way. Where is the brand Islander? Like, where is it going? What's coming up? What's coming down the pipe?
I can see about 9 months to a year into the future. Past that, I have no idea. I'm on the roller coaster just like everybody else is. But what's coming out, I'll tell you precisely what's coming out. There's 4 new monsters coming probably this week. There's some SKX 013 based dual timers coming out. This was in the works well before the new GMTs came out from Seiko, but they're not GMTs, they're dual timers. There's some new Fliegers coming out. There's 36 millimeter Explorer type coming out.
Okay, that was a question if you were going to have a 36 millimeter.
Yeah, there's 4 different dial flavors. It's like an Explorer homage. That'll be out. There's definitely a special project coming out that I can't talk about. There's a chronograph coming out.
Okay, that was a question as well.
That's a quartz that's going to be done actually it's being built right now in Arizona. That I trademarked my own term for it. There is a GMT coming. It is a Salida based GMT. It has been in the works since.
Yeah, that was another question.
I want to say since like last August.
Okay.
It's been in the works. Of course, pandemic had a lot to do with delays and stuff, but I got the original, kind of weight samples, 8-9 months ago. Okay. And I wore a dummy around with no movement in it for a few days just to kind of get a feel for how I liked the weight of the watch. And I loved it. It was great. That's coming out, working on skeletons, working on titanium divers.
And so this is all within a 9 month to a year span we're talking then, right? Because you said you can see 9 months out.
I'm looking at about a year right now. Yeah.
Wow, incredible.
And
so
I try to keep. It's tough, you try to keep things rolling because newness always sells. So we roll out new stuff, we phase out other stuff, and we discontinue it if we just feel like kind of the life is gone from it.
Yeah. Yeah, and that answered a bunch of other questions because there was some that were asking, when are you putting out a GMT? When are you putting out a chronograph? Are you going to make a mechanical chronograph?
I already started a GMT based on the NH34, even though I can't get the movement yet.
That was another question.
I've started a totally different design, custom case. It's not a diver. I'm doing something totally off the wall, at least for me. That I already started. But when the NH34 comes out, I'll definitely grab low-hanging fruit and just do an SKX based NH34. I mean, I kind of have to. I'm a fool not to.
Right. Okay, and I got one more question about what you sell on Long Island Watch. Obviously, your Islander brand is your most popular. That, to be honest, that kind of surprises me, considering you have Seiko and Orient but I would guess that Seiko is the next popular.
Seiko's number 2, yeah.
But what brand do you think that you sell in your store is kind of an underdog that that you think people should know about?
It's funny because I think a lot of people that shop in the store kind of know about most of the brands. I would say Phoebus is definitely, and it sells well, and I would still say it's an underperformer.
Okay.
It's in my top. I would say it's probably in my top 6 or 8. But they make a hell of a watch for a great price.
Yeah.
I really like them. I think they underperform.
Okay. Phoebus, yeah. I've seen a few of those, not from your, but on people's channels, eh? And
Yeah, it's so great.
everyone has high praise for the brand. So.
Oh yeah, no, they make an excellent watch. They're nice people, at least from my side of dealing, and interesting designs, and it's just something different, and it's a fun brand.
Yeah. All right. Awesome. So we've talked quite a bit about watches, and this is a show called Beyond the Watch. It's kind of funny when I first started with the idea that I had was just interview people that I love watching on YouTube, try and get to know them, just because I'm a people person, and so this is totally self-indulgent. I don't care.
Right.
I don't care if people watch this episode or not. It's just me wanting to get to know you.
I will get people to watch the episode.
I'm
I will do my best. Okay, I will try.
It was. Well, I already got a bit of the Long Island bump. We joked in the email, like after you put your post being interviewed, just on Instagram itself. I
good.
Within an hour, I had like a half a dozen or a dozen new followers on my Instagram.
Good. I'm glad. I'm glad I can use my notoriety to give you a couple more followers.
Yeah. So I mentioned we've kind of gone over the questions a little bit, so you're not answering them completely blind. But I
forgot what you said, so it is.
So it's going to be anyway. Okay. So basic specs. Watch reviewers always talk about the basic specs of a watch when they're handling it. So, what are your basic specs? Like what's basic information about you? You're born in 76, right?
I am a bicentennial baby. That is correct.
Yeah, I'm born in 76. So what's your birth month?
I am a November 23rd baby.
November. Yeah, me too. I'm the 6th.
Okay, welcome.
November the 6th.
So you're just like 17 days older than me.
Yep.
You look it.
Gonna be 40. You glorious bastard. Yeah, I got me there. Well, here's a funny story. I don't know if
46 this year. Yeah.
Yeah, 46 coming up, and it was funny the other day. I can't remember where I was, but I had a hat on, and my kid said he couldn't find me because he couldn't see the bald spot on the top of my head.
Oh, don't worry, I got one. You can't see it. Usually, my videos, my kids make fun of me all the time. I said, just you wait, you little bastards.
All right, so just tell me more about yourself. Where you're born and raised.
That's my age, 45. Not born and raised on Long Island, but most of my life, I was born up in Yonkers, which is an hour and a half so north of Long Island. My folks moved down to the Huntington area when I was 1, and I've pretty much been here my whole life. Married, 3 kids.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
How old?
Busy.
How old are the kids?
So I got one turning 16 next week, and then I got a 13 and a 10. Boy, girl.
That's a good time, eh?
It's a good spread. It's a good spread. Yeah.
So mine are 22, 20.
Oh my goodness.
22 years old, 20. Yeah, I got married. How old were you when you got married?
30.
Oh, okay.
Well, no, 30 when my first kid was born. I'm sorry. I was 26.
Yeah. So I got married in 1998. So my wife and I are about to celebrate 24 years.
Oh, okay.
So we started the family quite early. We have
quite quickly
22-year-old, a 20-year-old, and a 17-year-old.
Oh wow!
And it's So your kids are. I got a girl. She's the oldest, and 2 boys. What are yours?
I'm the other way around. I'm boy, girl.
Oh, okay.
Yep. Yeah. Drives me bananas. Everyone drives me bananas, but it's all good.
So are they do they have a lot of extracurricular stuff in the summertime? That are they
Well,
working?
they all go to camp.
Oh, okay.
They're all in day camp. Actually, the two older ones are in travel camp. So tomorrow morning at 7:30, I get to drive them to the bus so that they'll be away for 4 days or so. My daughter, this is the last week. That's it. Camp's over, and then 2 weeks, and then school starts again. Crazy.
Okay. Yeah, it's not. Yeah, the summer flew by.
It always does.
For sure, it does. Yeah.
Darn it.
Yeah. Did you guys vacation at all, or?
Yeah, I went away in February. I was in Puerto Rico, and then in April I was in. Happy to wearing the shirt, Sedona, Arizona, because we hadn't been away as a family in what 2.5 years or so. It was kind of crazy. Yeah, I mean the last time I'd flown on a plane was Basel in 2019. That was it.
Yeah. So tell me about your wife. Where did you two meet? Did you meet in college, university, or whatever, or how did you?
We are actually high school sweethearts.
Get out!
Yeah.
Me too, man.
You? Oh my God! What?
Yeah, crazy.
Great.
So tell me how you met. You met in high school. What grade, or like when did you start going out? So you've been together.
1993.
Yeah. So you've been with your wife or you're longer than you haven't, right?
I guess so.
Yeah.
I never really thought of that.
Yeah.
I guess 93, 03, 13, about 30 years.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
That's amazing, isn't it? So did you meet in like in a class? Like how big?
Chemistry.
Oh, get out.
Yeah, I know. How much? Well, what's the word I'm looking for? But yeah, it was chemistry.
Chemistry,
we met in chemistry
class.
Yeah.
What grade?
We were friends for a couple of years. We started going out in 12th grade. And then she went to what's called SUNY Binghamton, a state school up in Binghamton. And then I went to a little school in Manhattan called the Cooper Union. And we stayed dating through that, and then both graduated. We moved both. Well, I was always near home. I was only 40 miles away. She was like 200 miles away. We both came back home and both worked, and eventually got married.
That's amazing. So how did you keep the relationship going while you were in school? Did you drive to see her, just talk on the phone a lot?
We talked on the phone a lot. Obviously, it depends how old your audience is. There were no cell phones yet.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess there was, but I didn't get my first cell phone until 1998. There was email. Her email address was like B249873641 at cc.suny.ny.edu or something crazy.
That's funny.
Yeah, would email, talk on the phone. Phone. It was a long distance call. There was no VoIP.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's just I'm not a wild person. I don't party. I don't drink, don't smoke, don't go out. I really don't do anything. So, I was in Manhattan for 4 years, and, I just had my group of friends, and we just stuck around. I'm still with those same friends today. And yeah, so it really wasn't much opportunity to go find other people.
Yeah, so my wife and I, very similar. We met more or less in music class in grade 11.
Okay.
I went to grab, the teacher's like, go grab your instruments. We were both trumpet players. So we were we didn't sit beside each other. We were sitting near each other. And I just grabbed number 7. Whatever, it didn't matter to me.
Yeah. Right.
And she yelled at me and said, "Number 7 is my trumpet," or something like that.
Oh God!
And I'm like,
feisty.
Take it.
Please don't kill me.
Yeah, have it. And her brother and my sister were good friends, about the same age, and so her brother ended up calling my sister and we kind of like doing the espionage, I guess, or whatever you want to call it. It's like,
Got
hey,
it.
does your brother know my sister, and what does he think of my sister, or whatever? And so
Nice.
yeah, so my sister's like, do you know Scott's sister, Patty? I'm like, yeah, she's in my music class, and she's like, yeah, what do you think of her? I'm like, well, she seems to be a nice girl, whatever. So then she called me up, and I literally was minutes away from leaving to go to a hockey practice. I played hockey,
Okay.
and so
Like a good Canadian.
yeah, and so she thought I was blowing her off because I was like, I gotta go. And so anyway, I said I'll call you later, and I actually did, and then it just started from there. We talked
Oh,
and talked and talked, and obviously we saw each other every day
yeah.
in high school. So when
Hmm.
did you know? When did you know that you wanted to marry? What's your wife's
Wow.
name, if I can ask that?
Yes. Okay. Her name's Tina.
Tina. So when did you know Tina
Wow.
was going to be the one?
That's a great question. Holy smokes. I would say probably further on in my collegiate career, probably before I graduated, though.
Yeah,
I would say probably by second or third year. At
yeah.
that point, we were dating like 3 years or so, or 4 years. And I was riding the bus up to I took the Greyhound out of the Port Authority bus terminal. And if you know anything about the Port Authority bus terminal in the mid 90s, if you're going in that thing to go see somebody, then you really like that person. So
Okay.
yeah, I was doing that. And yeah, I guess that's probably about right. Because I would say definitely by the time I moved back, I knew,
Yeah.
we knew we were going to get married eventually. It was just a matter of when.
Okay. So when did you get married? What month?
Oh well, bad time of year. October 2001.
Okay. We were
Yeah,
September. My goodness.
of 2001.
No, we were
Oh,
98, but
oh, I tell
September.
you, were 98. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
So
was a
we're,
month after 9/11.
oh my goodness.
Yeah, so it was
Okay.
kind of weird.
Yeah. Well, I guess did that affect
All it affected. Well, we didn't know for a while, but eventually, the only thing it affected in the end was the flights to Hawaii.
yeah.
It wound up being 3 planes, but other than that, it was nothing else was affected. Everything else was fine.
So is that where you went like for your honeymoon? Hawaii?
Yep. Yeah,
Wow, that's nice.
we'll get back there eventually.
Yeah, we haven't. My wife really wants to do a tropical holiday. We haven't had, other than we've been to Florida, if you want to call that a tropical holiday. Uh,
Tropical in temperature.
yeah, but we haven't been to an island. I'd like to go to Jamaica.
Okay.
And we were planning
Jamaica
on
Queens or Jamaica the island?
the island. Yeah. we,
There's a Jamaica Queens.
yeah, yeah, no, not that one. No, and we were gonna try. I actually was gonna get her a trip for Christmas, or I was thinking of
Mhm,
getting her a trip for Christmas, but it
mhm.
was just I contacted the travel agent, and I said, this is what I want, and you know, I got a quote for sandals because my wife really loves sandals
Okay.
resorts, and but it was whatever variant of COVID or whatever. I
Oh,
can't. Where Omicron maybe or
okay. I,
Decepticon.
yeah, I know. I can't keep up with them.
Yeah. So anyway, I just said to the travel agent actually said, I advise you at this time not to buy any packages. Just wait a little
Yeah.
bit longer. And so we're talking next year will be our 25th anniversary.
Okay.
So that's when
Cool.
well, by then for sure we're going to be doing something.
I've been to not sandals. I did beaches, Turks and Caicos a couple of times.
Oh,
Um, so it's owned by the same people.
yeah.
Yeah, very nice. You'll love it.
Cool. Cool. Yeah. Yeah. We're gonna figure it out, but it's
Yeah, it's
long
yeah.
overdue.
Travel lately is just a little bit hokey.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's long overdue. So anyway, so you took like engineering in
Yeah,
school?
yeah. Is it getting too dark the video, or it's okay? Because it's
No,
getting dark out
you're
here.
good. You're good.
I'm good.
For a
Okay,
while
so I can
there, I
have some
had
shade on the outside
sunlight
light.
coming in from the other
I
window.
saw the
Ref-
blinds reflecting on you
yeah,
before.
I was like, and I didn't know if it was just the sun is starting to set now.
Oh wow,
and
how
so
cool
it's gone below the window line over.
yeah, it's gone now. It's
It's,
sunset has happened here.
yeah, but
I'm sorry, what were you asking me?
so the engineering,
Yeah.
what were you like? I'm guessing that you weren't going into school to go into the watch, like
No,
the
no,
watch
I went
business.
to
So like,
school for
what
I
was
went to
the
school for mechanical engineering.
yeah, and what was the
And
hope
I
that you would what was the hope when you went?
Well, the hope when I went was to get out with a steady job in mechanical engineering. That's exactly what happened. I graduated in '98 um, in May, and June 22nd, 1998, I started my mechanical engineering uh, job in an aerospace firm, a defense contractor here on Long Island,
Oh
and I did that
wow!
for 13. I did that for 13 years.
So what did your job entail exactly? This is fascinating.
Well, that I I can't say too much.
Oh, okay.
um,
It's like you could tell
we
me, but
were
you'd have to kill me, kind
we
of
were
thing.
they were a defense contractor, and their primary mission was secondary radar, which is it's called IFF. That's identification friend or foe. Basically, when you have a sortie of whether it's fighters or ground and air, um, there is a a friendly interchange of messages to prevent fratricide from killing people on their own side. So it was basically, it was a lot of that. It was transponders, receivers, antennas. So I did a lot of that work. Did a lot of airborne antenna work on airborne transponder and interrogator work.
Wow.
Nothing to do with watches at all.
Nothing at all.
Zero.
So that transition, like, where did the transition happen to start? I imagine you started somewhat small online.
Yeah, well, I mean,
how did that
the
transition take place to,
yeah, the way
yeah.
the story goes is I was always a fan of watches, like from day one of, as I said, back in 1988. Even before that, I always liked watches. My father clearly liked watches. He had a Datejust, he had two Concords, he had a decent, a nice collection. Um, and then following graduation, this is now in so I graduated in '98. This is probably like '99 or 2000. I went out to lunch with a bunch of my college buddies who we are all still friendly. And one of them was wearing an open heart Elise watch.
Hmm.
And to me, it was just beautiful. I thought it was a tourbillon. I couldn't tell. Asked him where he got it. Told me he bought it on eBay for like $80 or something. I'm like, no way. And I had just finished reading the book Rich Dad Poor Dad. And I was like, wow, I could sell that. I mean, I think I could sell that here in the States. So after all that, I contacted the seller, asked if I could buy 10 watches at a discount and sell them myself on eBay here in the States. He said yes. So I took
Oh wow.
$700, bought 10 watches at $70 each, imported them, sold them, almost all at a profit. I'm sure there was a loss or two here or there. Made some money. And I was like, I took my money, I took what I made, and I did it again. Did it again. Did it again, did it again, did it again. Eventually started a website, and is slowly,
Snowballed.
brick by brick, I built the business. And it is what you see today.
That's amazing. And so,
Yeah,
like,
it is.
at what point was it like, okay, you're obviously making a good income from the engineering side of things,
Sure.
and you've got. When did it become like more than a side gig, to a point where you're like, I could do this full time?
It was so let's see. So my oldest started kindergarten in 2011, and at that time we were not going to have anybody to put him on and off the bus. So that's when I actually transitioned. I left my job in August of 2011, so 13 years after I started. And by that time, forgetting the health insurance aspect, we can get that through my wife's job. That's when I made the transition to doing watches full time, and I left the engineering firm. I worked there for another 2 or 3 years part time, just helping them transition a lot of, because I was working on a lot of stuff, helping them transition my workload off to other engineers. But when did I know? Probably not till 2009, 2010, when it started to when my take home started to approach my salary in engineering. I was like, wow, this is actually going somewhere.
Wow.
Yeah. And then, fast forward another 10 years and here we are. And, I employ, I don't know, 5 people, I think.
Okay, that's one thing I was going to ask because you got your new digs
Yeah.
warehouse. I guess you want is that what you would call
Yeah.
it? Your
New
warehouse?
operating, new operating center. Yeah.
Yeah. And does everyone, for the most part, go there like to work, or do you do a lot of the work
So,
from home, or how does that?
no, it's everyone. The only person that works from home, like full time, would be my wife, because she's a CPA, which in this country it's a certified public accountant.
Yep.
So she does my books. Um, so in the warehouse or the office, it's me. It's my brother-in-law, who's been working for me for a long time. A long time. It's got to be over. Oh boy, it's got to be over 12 or 13 years at this point.
Okay.
He basically does all the packing and shipping. You've got on payroll, you've got Ryan. He started a year and a half ago, as you know. You've got actually recently hired my sister to work. And then I've got a full time, pretty much marketing guy. He's in Connecticut, and then I've got another guy in Connecticut doing other stuff for me. And then there's just a whole smattering of companies throughout the U.S. that, as a web business, you use their resources.
Yeah, that's amazing. Um, and what's it like working with family? Because you hear sometimes
You hear horror stories, I
not to
know,
mix
but no,
business and family. So
it's all good. Believe me, it's all. I love, my brother-in-law. You couldn't ask for someone nicer. Totally not what you would expect with family. Everything is it's very easy to work with. Additionally, with my sister, just hard workers and just want to help.
yeah, cool. And because your parents, like I just through the questions that oh yeah, you got some more light there because it is getting a
Yeah,
little
you know what
dark
it is.
there.
I increased the monitor brightness. I'm going to turn on the outside light
Yeah,
because
yeah,
it's going to be. Well, I don't know how much light it's going to throw, but let's find out.
that's all right. Um,
1 second. My wife's going to try to throw the light for me.
okay, cool.
Aha.
There we go.
Yeah, maybe I'll move positions. I'll go over here now.
Yeah, so just through the various questions that were asked, your parents ran like being in a family business is nothing new to you, right? Because you grew up, your dad was
No,
a
so
hardware store owner.
my father owned the hardware store, and I worked there. Like I said, I pretty much remember since I was 10 years old, I would work there all summer. So every summer I would work with him. He was in Manhattan, so I would commute with him to and from Manhattan 5 or 6 days a week. And throughout the school year, I would work with him on Saturdays. And then when I was in college, so I was in Cooper Union is in the East Village, Lower Manhattan. On Sunday, because he would eventually open 7 days a week, which is insane if you think about it. I would actually open the store for him on Sunday, so he wouldn't have to come in on Sunday. I would open the store with a buddy of mine, and we would work the day. So yeah, it's always been in my blood to kind of, I guess, run a business.
Yeah, and you learned. Now, is your dad still with us?
No, he passed away, and both him and my father-in-law passed away in 2014, like within months of each other.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, but he lives on through the business.
Yeah. So what now with respect to just the way that you there was a couple different posts, and forgive me, I can't remember, what they were, just different things that kind of speak to your I think one of them was like you issued a refund for something that was lost in translation for a while, and
Mm-hmm.
something that you easily could have, just went, oh well, you know,
Tough shit.
yeah, and
Yeah.
your obviously a lot of your business acumen would have been learned from your dad, but the values that
Absolutely. That's where absolutely everything comes from. I have many stories of him, you know, but I guess it's both sides, but from the good side, I know that I remember once in particular, someone came in just with a little piece of wood. It was like a 1x2 or a 2x4, and it was like 4 feet. And yes, my dad, because my dad also cut lumber. He's like, oh, I just need a foot cut off. And my dad runs downstairs to the table, so cuts off the foot, brings it back upstairs. And the guy takes out his wallet and my dad says, don't worry about it. It took me 2 seconds, whatever, enjoy.
yeah,
Are you sure? Are you sure? Are you sure? Guy came in the next day and spent like $1,000 on hardware. So, things like that like stuck with me. But it also stuck with me that the customer's not always right, unfortunately.
yeah,
There are people that eventually you just have to just cut bait with. And sometimes, it's unfortunate. But I try to give the customer service, that he would give, and I try to treat everyone. If customers saw on the vendor facing side with warranties and stuff, if they saw what I saw, it would be disgusting. So many vendors just refuse warranty service because everything is a customer issue. Oh, you obviously dropped it. You obviously handled it wrong. You obviously did this. You obviously did that. Whereas I've refused warranty claims when it's obvious, but I almost never do. I always give the customer the benefit of the doubt. A lot of times when watches are returned to us, I don't even return them. I just have to, we get rid of them through some other means. So it's sometimes we just scrap stuff. So it's just I just try to do the right thing, and I always think about if it was me on the other side, how would I like to be treated? And that's kind of the way it goes.
yeah, yeah. Kind of like the golden rule.
Golden rule.
Treat others as you want to be treated. What were
Pretty
the
much.
most important lessons that your dad taught you throughout? Like you mentioned a few of them there, obviously, but
yeah, I mean, he didn't teach me anything. Honestly, it was, but not not purposely, not like, oh, Mark, you should need to do this because he unfortunately was a very poor businessman as far as from the economic side. He didn't really save for retirement. None of this stuff. But just the way he handled his business and the way that he always treated the customer, and the work ethic. That's the thing. Those are the things that stuck with me, and definitely that I attribute to I hate to say my success, but just how well my business is run. I kind of attribute that to him.
yeah, no, there's nothing wrong with being successful.
Yeah, I know.
I mean,
I just but you could always be more successful, so I don't want to say successful yet.
yeah, yeah. Well, that's cool. So your wife, I gotta ask, how did you propose?
Oh my goodness.
How did that go? I love these.
You
I love
really
these stories because you're.
this is beyond the watch, huh?
Yeah, yeah. Of course it is. That's the whole
So
point.
no problem. So she knew it was coming, but
Okay.
it's amazing. No one's ever asked me this before. She knew it was coming, but she didn't know when it was going to come because she had picked out the ring. She knew
Okay,
the
I was
ring
gonna
she
say, if
wanted.
guys looked at rings beforehand, and
This is Long Island, so a lot of stuff was already picked out, but she had no clue when it was going to happen. And oh my God, what I had done was her mother, her sister, maybe my sister, I'm not sure. They all went into the city to see a play, into New York City to see a play. And then I made up some cockamamie BS that between my company, the engineering company I work for, and ASME, the American Society of Mechanical Engineers, was having a like a function in Manhattan. And
okay.
I wrote a fake letter. My boss signed it off. I took the ASME, director's signature, and I pasted it into the letter. I made a fake badge. And I'm like, oh, we're going to be in the city on the same night. That's crazy. Whatever. Maybe we can go out to dinner, or maybe, we'll spend the night or something. And so I said, oh, look at that. They're putting me up for the night because I won an award or whatever I said. I actually still have the letter and the badge. And So I met her in the city after the play in Penn Station. I said, "Oh, let's go back to. I'll show you the room. We'll go back to the room." And it was a big cookie that said, "Will you marry me?" And and then roses all over the place.
A big cookie.
Yeah.
Did you make the cookie or did you buy
No,
a cookie?
Mrs. Fields made it.
That is cool.
Yeah. How about you?
Oh man, I told this story on one of my Beyond the Watches.
Okay, so give me the abridged version.
It was ridiculous. My it's kind of similar idea. We didn't look at rings together, nothing like that. But she kind of knew it was coming, and
Mm-hmm.
I shared this, I believe, with Simon when I talked to him.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a person who I'm just very impatient when it comes to, like, if I had a gift for you, for example, as soon as I saw you, I'd want to give it to you.
Give it.
I
Yeah.
just so I had the ring, and I kind of had this whole weekend plan where we go for a walk on the beach or whatever. Her parents kind of knew in that, but it just so happened it was this is pathetic. So she was in college, I was in college, and I went and picked her up, and we're on our way home. I've got the ring because I had it at college. I went out, and a buddy of mine and I went out to this jewelry store, whatever, and got the ring, and I had it, and we stopped. I can't even remember where we stopped, but it was Halloween. It was actually Halloween day.
Mm-hmm.
And I had the ring in, the glove box compartment or something, or not the glove box, but like a console.
Sure.
And she got in the car, and I just said, "Trick or treat." And she's like, "What?" I'm like,
"What's wrong with you?"
"Yeah." I'm like, "Trick or treat." And she's like, "Treat?" And I pulled out the box, and she opened it, and she was just absolutely, she would say that it was a great proposal. I think it was the sloppiest, ill thought out. Like, I just couldn't wait. So I was just like, because it was going to be 2 or 3 days later.
Right.
But I had it. She was there. I was there.
Get it over with.
I just couldn't wait. And I thought trick or treat was the best thing I could come up with.
Perfect.
Because it was Halloween.
Instead of "Will you marry me?" it's trick or treat.
I didn't have a candy bag. I didn't have anything.
Right.
There's nothing fancy about it. I literally pulled out the box and handed it to her. She looked at it. She cried. She was like,
Oh, it doesn't have to be fancy. It's all good.
Yeah. Well, it's certainly. Like a bunch of my friends, if you're like me, obviously my friends similar age, they were getting married. Some of them had just dynamite proposals. I had a friend of mine that actually arranged at a local, I think it was a Walmart, and the vendor where you could like put a quarter in and get like a trinket toy or whatever. Mm-hmm. He actually arranged for the ring to be inside of one of those things. Put it
risky.
Yeah, well, a little bit, but like he made sure that no one came and used it. Right, like the manager might have even taken it and put it away in his office, or whatever. And so like they were coming out of the store, and he had arranged it, and he's like, "Hey, cool. I want," and he put the quarter in the thing, and it's like genius, right? I'm like,
yeah, it's a good idea.
That's there's like, how did you propose?
Trick or treat, of course.
Well, so it was a little. It's kind of an embarrassing story of mine, I guess.
It's
it wasn't
good one.
the greatest.
I like it. It's sweet.
My wife thought it was good, so that's like you say.
That's all that matters.
That's all that matters, yeah. And but yeah, it's 24 years this September 5th. So
cool.
Yeah,
it flies.
It does, yeah. So what renos are you doing at your house there? You're under reno there.
Oh my God, it's knocking down half of it and rebuilding it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's a little crazy right now. Just always wanted I love cooking. And I've always wanted a nice kitchen. So really that's how it kind of started. It started with, let's have a nice kitchen. And these were pre-pandemic plans, but pandemic kind of put things on hold. The material costs put things on hold. So there's actually a pit behind me. There's a pit behind me, and there's some walls of concrete that were poured just yesterday.
Okay.
So this is going to be my life for the next few months.
Yeah, it's and so everything is on schedule then.
Well, it only started 3 weeks ago, but so far it's still on schedule.
Yeah, that's good. So cooking, tell me about that. Like, do you do most of the cooking for the house then, or
do all the cooking in the house? Yeah,
Wow.
just kind of. I just love cooking. You know, it's funny because my wife's Italian and she does not like to cook. Doesn't cook and doesn't like to cook, and I love to cook.
Okay.
But I kind of cooked out of necessity as a child because my mother didn't really cook. So I kind of had to take the lead, and even though I was the youngest of three, I'm probably the one that still loves to cook out of all of us. So no, I don't know. It's something about it. It's therapeutic. I just enjoy it.
Cool. So what's your favorite dish to make then? Or what's your tastiest dish?
Honestly, I
Mac
love
and
it.
cheese?
I love so many things that I make. I actually, for a kid that grew up eating ragu on spaghetti, I actually make a really good red sauce with sausage and meatballs. Fairly, my Italian in-laws kind of taught me well. So I guess that's probably something that my kids love when I make.
Oh, okay.
Also make good pizza.
Yeah.
Make my own dough. Yeah, I love all that stuff.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? It's been an hour and 11 minutes now.
Oh.
So last question.
Shoot.
Let's just see if I have a. Oh yeah. So you talk to me about you're learning to fly.
Mm-hmm.
Are you just flying like small aircraft, Cessnas, or what do you?
Yeah,
helicopters, or what do you?
So right now I'm on my mission to have my it's called a PPL, a private pilot's license for single engine land aircraft. So that would be your Cessnas, your Pipers, Warriors, stuff like that. I am learning in a Cessna 172, so that will probably be my aircraft that I am kind of endorsed to solo eventually. But yeah, it started. That's a lifelong ambition to fly, and there's a small airport near us which I'm learning to fly out of, but too often we hear about planes crashing near there. So my wife has never been very happy about me wanting to get my pilot's license, but I guess she finally relented. Said, if you want to do it, just go and do it. So I started doing it around Memorial Day of this year, so around the end of May. So I'm only a couple months into it, but I'm pretty deep into it already. And just I just want to get it. I don't want to be a pilot. I mean, an airline pilot. I want to be a commercial pilot. I'm going to keep doing watches. But I just want to be able to say, like I got open water certified, a couple of years ago for scuba, even though that was way easier. I just want to have the license to my name so that if I want to, as stupid as it sounds, if I want to get in a plane and fly to Connecticut for lunch, I can. And that's just something that I would enjoy doing.
So do you have ambitions to have your own plane then, or is this?
Probably, but that's that's pricey. We'll see. We'll see how good the watch business goes. But yeah.
How long does it take you to get the?
It'll probably be about a year.
The PPL or whatever you called it there.
Yeah, it'll probably be about a year.
Oh, okay. And then if you didn't have your own plane, you can rent. Like, can you rent?
Yeah, you rent it. Yeah, just like the place that I'm taking lessons from. They also rent me an instructor. I could rent a plane.
Oh, cool. And is that like what's it cost to rent a plane for a day?
It's a lot of money.
Yeah.
It's a lot of money. I think the 172 goes out at, with fuel, 180 an hour or something.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, it's expensive.
So but that'd be an expensive lunch to Connecticut.
Buying one new is like $500,000. They're expensive.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, it'd be an expensive lunch if you.
It is expensive. That's why I
decided to fly to Connecticut.
I was with my friends this weekend, and one of them's from Connecticut. I'm like, yeah, I'll fly. It'll be $1,000 lunch, but I don't care. I'm going to fly up and see you.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
And that's so about a year from now you'll
That'll
be.
be a year, and then then
How many
it's
flight hours do you have to have in order to?
the FAA has it all spelled out. Your viewers probably know more, but there's a minimum of dual time you have to have. There's a minimum of solo time. There's a minimum of cross country time you have to have, and there's a minimum of night time you have to have. But I think all told, the minimum has to be. I think everything added up, maybe it's about 40 hours or so. But most people go a little bit, go longer than that before they actually go for their check ride. But
Okay.
there's a check ride involved. There's an oral involved. There's a written test involved. There's actually I give pilots credit. There is a lot of knowledge that you have to know. There's a ton of
Oh,
knowledge.
yeah. Yeah.
Not just not just staying alive and flying the plane, but as far as all the other, they're like meteorologists basically. You have to know all about the weather and everything. There's so much stuff going on.
Well, yeah, especially in a smaller craft, because there was a gentleman a few years back. He was in the school my kids went to. He was the acting vice principal,
Mm-hmm.
and I live on a peninsula between the Great Lake Huron and Georgian Bay, which kind of leads up into Hudson Bay, northern Canada.
Mm-hmm.
He was up in his plane and encountered bad weather, and he crashed into Georgian Bay, and that was it for him.
Yeah,
And
we get a decent amount of that around here
it happens like
often.
the weather, yeah, and the weather, like what I mean is the weather in
Oh, okay.
like the weather on the peninsula between two bodies of water. Even if you kind of forecast it, it can change.
Yep.
It can change just like
Yeah.
just like
So that's
that.
just what I'm going for is called VFR, which is visual flight rules. And then if you want after that, you'd become instrument rated. So basically, you can fly with the windows covered up.
Yeah,
But that's a whole nother ball of wax.
yeah, yeah. And so the Kobe Bryant accident must have really interested you somewhat in regards
That was
to the
helicopter.
whole.
That was helicopter. I guess, and that was bad. That was bad weather.
Yeah.
But every time, I mean, there was a big law firm, Jacoby and Myers, around here. One of them was a aviation guy, and he died. He flying his plane, he crashed and died. I guess it can always happen.
Just mute this. Your wife won't watch this part, eh?
No, the instructor is very even though he's a young kid, he could actually be your son. He's like 26. I guess he could be my son too. He everything is based around the engine stalling. He's like, if the engine dies now, what would you? Everything. It's like, okay, we're here. What's the engine die now? What would you do? And that's just the way they think, and I guess to kind of avert disaster.
Yeah, because how much control of a plane? I mean, I imagine the bigger the plane, it's like there's always manual. You can control the flaps.
There's no hydraulics on a plane that I'm flying, but you can every 1,000 feet. I think you can glide a mile and a half or something.
Oh, okay.
So you got to know where's your nearest runway, or where's your nearest road, or where's your nearest beach, or
Hudson River, Lake Sully.
a big flat grassland, anything. So yeah.
That is so cool. Well, listen, man, I want to thank you for taking the time to chat with me. It's been great. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you for.
Sorry about the lighting.
Yeah. And thank you to Tina, your wife, for loaning.
Oh yeah,
you
no,
out.
I already got the eyeballs before I got to go in there and do other stuff.
Yeah, man, but I really appreciate it. And just one more time, I want to encourage people to head over to your website, because there's just a lot of fantastic merchandise available there. And one of the things I'm going to snag up, my daughter got me a $50 gift certificate for the store. Cool. And I was thinking about getting that Seiko. I ended up getting another watch I really wanted. But the bracelet for the Déti
the Mitchell. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, I'm definitely going to be getting that soon.
Yeah.
just I really love steel over leather,
Yeah, it looks
over
good.
FKM
It looks
rubber.
good on the bracelet. I was
Yeah.
surprised. A lot of people asked for a bracelet for that. I relented, and find, it's like everything else. If enough people ask for it, there's a market for it. So, yeah.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to snag up one of those. But honestly, I love your site. I love all that you're doing on YouTube, and thankful to have this time with you. It's been awesome.
I
I
appreciate
appreciate you
it.
taking the time.
Ditto here. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
All right, man. Well, listen, everybody, if you're like, I just laugh because I'm a small YouTuber, but if you don't subscribe to Long Island Watch, head over there and subscribe.
That's okay.
And
we take everybody.
Yeah, do check him out on Instagram. I'll leave all of that information in the description of the video. But again, thank you so much, Mark, for taking the time. It's been great.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Okay, man.
Take care.
Yeah, you as well.
Bye.